Today, we're going to connect Claude to Excel and see how it can help you as a business owner. I had a couple of video questions sent in, so we're going to start by watching one of those and seeing if we can answer that question.
Hey Jack, Marcos here. So one question I had was, if I'm a restaurant owner, for example, I'd be curious, like, if I could give Claude a recent bank statement, can it pull out all the transactions there and then put them in an organized spreadsheet? And then with that spreadsheet, is it able to reformat it so it's all ready to go to upload to QuickBooks online?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question from Marcos. He also sent me over a bank statement so that we can test that out for him. Got Excel open here. You'll see Claude up in the top right corner. I'm just going to click into that, and on the right hand side, we have Claude in Excel now. And if you're curious on how to get Claude installed into Microsoft Excel, you can go to claude.com, and up here at the top, you'll see Claude for Microsoft 365. Go ahead and click that, and you'll want to click on this install button. You will need a Claude subscription. I think they start around $20. We are not sponsored by Anthropic. We fully paid for all of this. We'll take a look at the bank statement. I think what I'm going to do is, with Excel and Claude open, I'm going to take that, go ahead and copy it, paste it into here, and I'm going to give it a prompt. Can you make this bank statement into a table? And I'll just go ahead and send those two things. It's saying I'll extract the transactions from the PDF and put them into a table. Sounds simple enough. It's gonna think. It looks like Claude is done thinking for now. So far, so good. You know, there's a lot going on here. So one thing that I would look at, is obviously the final balance at the end of the month. Make sure that matches up with the PDF. And another thing that I like to do is look at the total deposits and total withdrawals and make sure those match as well. And if those match, if all three of those match, we're probably on the right track. So the ending balance, 23,529, 46 cents. That matches. And then total deposit, 63,278 and 35 cents. Yeah, so it looks like both the total deposits and total withdrawals also match. So I think Claude did a pretty good job. You can also see, like, withdrawals are red and deposits are green. It does not look like it made withdrawals negative, but the math looks right. And I think that was a two-part question from Marcos. He was wondering, could we get this into a format where we could import this into Excel? And I think all I'll need to do is ask Claude, can you put this into a format so I can import it into QBO? It's saying QuickBooks Online accepts a few import formats for bank transactions. The most universal is a 3-column CSV, where withdrawals are negative and deposits are positive. QBO also accepts a 4-column variant with debits and credits. It's going to build both of them for me. That's pretty cool. And it looks like it put them on another sheet here. Yeah, and originally it hadn't made the withdrawals negative, but it looks like it got it this time around. That'll be important. And then it's got the debits and credits, the 4-column version of it. So hopefully that answers your question, Marcos. Yes, you can use Claude to get a bank statement into Excel and then get it into a format where you could import it into QuickBooks. So we have another question sent in from John. Let's take a look at that.
Hey Jack, it's John here. So I like things nice and tidy, as you know. I just hate looking at ugly reports and spreadsheets. And so one thing I'm curious about is if I'm a dentist and I have an ugly aging report from my dental software, can Claude take that and make a nice usable spreadsheet for me in Excel? Thanks.
Great question, John. Thanks for sending that in. Yeah, I think it could. We'll open up a new workbook here. Start fresh. Again, we'll go up to the top right, click on Claude. I'm already logged in. And I have that ugly aging report. And we'll just do what we did with the bank statement from Marcos. But this time we'll take this ugly aging report. We'll paste it in and we'll say, what did John ask for? He said, can you make this into a organized table I can work with? And I'm curious, if we take a look at that aging report, it's pretty well organized, but it's not nice and it's not really easy to work with. But once Claude is done thinking, hopefully it will be. So Claude said, I'll extract the AR aging data from the PDF and build a clean table. Oh, looks like it's having some trouble with it. It's gonna recheck the Mark Anderson row. It looks like it got something. So it says totals match the source exactly. Now the totals row, formatting, and column widths. So it looks like Claude is done thinking now. It looks like it's flagged a couple things. Robert Johnson has 4,800 in the greater than 90 bucket, and he does have a payment plan active, but he hasn't made any of his 18 payments yet, or they have not been received. And over 50% of total AR sits in one account. Maybe I could ask, could you give me a table of prioritization? And like now that the data is in Excel, it's going to be a lot easier for Claude to work with, for myself to work with. It says it's going to add a collections prioritization table below the data. It's going to give it a score based on balance, age, and risk flags. Okay, so it looks like it's done thinking now. Here it looks like it put all of these in priority order, starting with the most critical and then going down. It looks like if I were Robert Johnson's dentist, I'd probably be calling him first. He has made 0 of his 18 payments, and Claude is telling me to escalate to collections if no response within 14 days. So, take from that what you will. Definitely, if we're comparing what we had to, if we're doing a before and after, this is a much more workable format than what it was previously. Whether, you're going to take Claude's recommended actions, I don't know, but it's certainly easier to work with. So those were great questions. I hope I was able to answer them. I think we have a little bit more time, so I want to run through kind of my own demo. In the first two demos, those were great because it showed, we had a PDF, we had data in a format that was hard to work with, and we put it into Excel so it was easy to work with. I think you don't necessarily have to do that every time. Sometimes you already have data in Excel and you want to work with that like you would normally, but with Claude, you can get things done a little bit quicker. Here, I've pulled up a multi-period profit and loss statement from January through May. These numbers are good, but we can see for some reason total operating expenses and net income are not calculated. So instead of me trying to figure out what the formulas are to add those, it might seem simple enough, but I think this is a good way to show how fast Claude can be. If we say, fill in the missing operating expenses and net income. And they're not, we just want to get the totals. So it's going to go ahead and read this sheet. You can see the structure, and it's pretty simple math. And there it goes. There's the total operating expenses and net income equals total revenue minus COGS minus operating expenses. And there's net income. So now that this is, complete information, we can start asking it some questions like, could you make me a prime costs graph? It's going to go ahead and explain what it thinks is prime costs. Prime costs equals cost of goods sold plus labor, which is salaries, wages, and payroll taxes. Let's see. So we can see prime costs by month have been going up. And can you make me a graph about with my revenue numbers? So here, it's created another graph that takes the revenue breakout from up here, and the graph just disappeared. Oh, and it's back. So it takes those revenue categories and colorizes them and puts them in the graph so it's easy to look at. So, oh no, that's a real, never mind. That's, those colors are supposed to be the revenue categories, but I think they're months. So we've got dine-in sales, takeout and delivery, catering, bar and beverage, and May as our categories. And then dine-in sales is over $200,000. That looks like it might be I'm not sure exactly where. I'm just going to ask it. Why is May a category? One of these things is not like the other. Good catch. The source range A1 through F6. Oh, now it's asked potential data loss. It's going to delete. It's old. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and delete that graph. It's bailing. And it's going to build another. Okay, so this is revenue by month. And this time May is still a category. It's struggling with that, even though we asked it about May being a category of revenue, I guess. So I don't know. What should we do here? Should we ask it again about May, or should we move on? I think I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And let's say, can you summarize gross margin, expenses, and COGS? Let's see if it'll just summarize it or if it'll give me a graph. So it looks like there's the 5-month total of revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit, and gross margin. So it's able to make a table over here. Let's see if it can make a graph in Excel. And this was not planned. I definitely wanted to go through, this profit and loss statement and try to see, what we could gather from this information. I think AI and Claude is a great tool. You definitely need to be double checking your work as you're working through this with Claude, because it does make mistakes. And if you're not careful and you're not paying attention, it might just give you May as a category of revenue when you were expecting catering or takeout. I think we'll end it there. If you have any questions that you want to ask, feel free to put those in the comment section below. We're going to be making more videos like this in the future, so we'll be reading those. If you haven't already, go check out our Intuit connector for Claude video. It's similar to this one, where we look at pulling in some QuickBooks data into Claude and seeing what it can do in QuickBooks. Other than that, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.